Hello, listeners. Thank you for tuning in. This is our second episode of iotum Live, our first episode of the iotum Live podcast interview series. Today, I have Todd Shapiro of the Todd Shapiro Show, weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM channel 168. Great. So, on that note, could you tell our listeners about your podcast for the small percentage of people that don't know anything about it?
Yeah, fair enough. So, I'm very fortunate. So, I get to put my show on, it goes live on Sirius XM. So it is, in a way, a radio show first. I've been doing radio for almost 2 decades now. So that's sort of my background. That's how I earn a livelihood. But I actually own the intellectual property to it. So what I do is, and then I'm very fortunate because a lot of people who do work on radio don't have the opportunity to be podcasters as well, whereas I do. And of course, I go to TalkShoe. So the show goes 4 to 6 live Sirius XM, and then after like 6:01, however long it takes, we throw it up on TalkShoe.com. And it's a show where we're heavily focused on talking to comedians, and more specifically kind of Canadian comedians, but in a way, lately we've been getting some of the biggest names possible. We had Maria Bamford on the show the other day. We just had Hannibal Buress on the program. We get guys like Brian Callen, these podcasters from Fighter and the Kid, or Tony Hinchcliffe from Kill Tony, and Brian Redband, who's part of Rogan's crew. We're really lucky. We've developed really great friendships with a lot of these people. And then there's great Canadian comedians that come on as well. We've had, just this week alone, Howie Mandel was on the program. Who else? Russell Peters is a good friend of ours now. So really, it's a pretty cool show. I'm okay on it. It's it's all about everybody else, and then me. No, I'm pretty good actually.
How did you decide on your podcast name? Comedy versus podcasting. Did you have any ideas that didn't make the cut?
Yeah, it's interesting actually. When I first got my show on Sirius XM, I kind of structured it like a radio show, like a talk show, like TalkShoe, where I wanted it to be a variety program. I wanted to kind of have, like, the way I sort of thought about it was like an A-lister, a B-lister, and maybe a C-lister. So you could go through in that category, but of all different genres. So whether it was like a movie star, or someone in TV, or someone in music, or someone in comedy. But the more I got to do it, and the more I kind of spoke to my team around me over at SiriusXM, they really were like, this is a comedy channel. And we think that, much like, guys like Opie and Anthony in the day used to focus on just kind of having comedians come in there, shoot in the S for a couple hours at a time on anything topical that day, whether it's, Donald Trump, or blockchain technology, or pot stocks. We really open up the conversation with some of the biggest brains on the planet every day. And so comedy wasn't necessarily the original stream that I thought would make it successful. But once I got to know all these comedians, I realized they're the best guest you can ever have on a show, because A, they're quick-witted, B, they're obviously very humorous, which makes it compelling. And C, believe it or not, they're like supremely educated, talented, aware of everything going on in the world. So it makes for a great show.
I see. I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but do you have any best podcasting stories or experiences so far, or something just you want the listeners to know about?
I don't know if there's a best. A lot of people ask me sometimes, who's your favorite guest? What's the best moment? For me, I think I take great pride in having longevity. And I have longevity because we have great listeners who support us, and we have a community. So if you ask me what the best experience I have through the show, and then through the podcasting part of it later, it's the community we've created. It's the people who support my events, who support my charities, who tweet out great show. We're very blessed to have that support. And to me, without that, I wouldn't be doing it in this day and age. I wouldn't be doing it for almost 2 decades. So when I see young podcasters come into it, I always tell them, don't get big heads too soon, even if you start to see your numbers increase and everything, because it's constant work every day. And if you do want to make a career out of this, or if you do want to make a difference with your message, and on TalkShoe.com, you can obviously do that if you get that audience, make sure that it's hard work and it's every day, and appreciate those who support you. Be very grateful.
That's great. So on that same sort of note, on the flip side, were there any growing pains during the podcast that you may want the young podcasters to maybe learn from your kind of story?
Yeah, I think growing pains are nerves at first. You get a big guest, you're a little anxious for it. I remember I had Russell Peters before I knew him on the friendship level that I know him now 5 years ago. And I was like pooping my pants. I was so nervous before it. And then you kind of, the more you do this stuff, you realize everyone's just a human being. They all want to have fun with you. If they've agreed to get on your show, they obviously have something to promote as well. So they know you have an audience that you're getting it out to, an audience that they might not necessarily reach, even if they have 5 million more followers than you. So I think the growing pains are being comfortable in the environment the same way you might be comfortable with your friends or your family around a dinner table. How do you translate that? How do you translate you being genuine and then making people feel genuine around you? And I'd like to say that over time and experience, much like I'm sure a rookie, football player might tell you after year 3 or 4, they're finally in their groove. They're finally ready for game day on a different level. And I'm ready for game day every day. And I think that's stuff that with experience, a young podcaster on TalkShoe.com will eventually learn, so don't give up on that.
Great. So where do you get your podcast material or kind of inspiration from?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first started, I've always been in radio, and I sort of like, it's not that I take inspiration from anything other than the fact that I take inspiration by, again, creating and growing a community. And a podcasting world was another opportunity to grow that community. So my inspiration is the fact that on TalkShoe.com, after I do my show live, I have the ability to reach now, even more millions and millions of people. And as TalkShoe grows, and I think as some of the top shows on TalkShoe grow, that's gonna help me with more of an audience. So that's my inspiration. My inspiration is giving back. I think we have a great message on the show. We're very lighthearted. We're very easygoing. We're very self-deprecating. We're also very educational. I always say if you're not laughing, you better be learning on my program. And so if there's people out there, we try to inspire them through laughter and through education.
On that similar note, are there some podcasts that you like to listen to and maybe draw from or like?
Man, everyone asks me this, and I really don't listen to anybody's podcast. Like once in a while, I'll see a clip, like I saw Elon Musk go on Rogan, and I'll pull up a 2-minute clip on that, and that's because he was smoking a joint on it. If he inhaled, whether he did or not, I ended up buying Tesla stock that night because I knew it would dip, because most people have a stigma still about that stuff, and then of course it's gone up since. But I purposely, because of what I do, and I do it every day, so it's a little bit different. I do it every day from 4 to 6 p.m. That's 10 hours, Monday to Friday. That's 10 hours of a show every week. That's more than most people. We're over 1,100 shows, I believe now. We're very close to it. And I don't actually have a lot of time to listen to a lot of other podcasts. I have a little boy at home as well. The other thing is that part of me, and you'll hear this from comedians sometimes, you'll hear this from people in the entertainment space, they don't really want to listen to what other people are doing, because they don't want to subconsciously emulate that. And I want to be my own guy, and I want to be able to be proud of having our own creation, our own little baby, which is the Todd Shapiro Show. And we have great support. My producer, Bilal Vakani, is an unbelievable person on my program who helps out. So I don't really listen to any, like when I say really, I really mean that. I probably listened to, in total, collectively, over the last year, 1 hour of another person's podcast. Sometimes I'll go and listen to mine to try and improve on my ums or my ahs or that anxiety I talk about, or how did I do with Howie Mandel? Did I cut him off in the middle of a big question, which sometimes people do because they want to get to the next one without even letting the true talent finish their statement. And so to constantly improve, and because I'm very self-indulged, I listen to my own.
Do you have an ideal podcast guest? I know you've interviewed a lot of Canadian comedians. If there is an ideal guest out there, who would that be?
Yeah, it's funny. There's 3 people sort of on my vision board this year that I would like to get. And I've gotten most. I've like, we had Margaret Cho on the show the other day. She's like was a trailblazer in comedy for years. We had her, but I think that as I move forward, I would really like to get Drake. And the reason why I say Drake is because I think he's a super funny guy. We saw him do SNL. We saw him do the NBA awards. He's a really talented guy, and I love him because I'm a Toronto performer. And I've watched what Drake has done, not being embarrassed by being Torontonian or a Canadian, but embracing that, giving back to this community, helping grow business all across this country, Toronto more specifically. So I would love to get to Drake. I also would love to get to Howard Stern. I think Stern would be great. I've interviewed some of the best podcasters in the world, from Ari Shaffir to Adam Carolla to, you name, again, Brian Callen, like some of these guys, massive numbers in podcasts. Stern was a guy who was a little skeptical, I think, within the podcasting realm. And I think he's such a radio guy, which I am, but it would be interesting to talk about like everything he's done, which he is the greatest still. He is truly the king of all media, what he's done, how he did it. And if anyone knew when they started in radio before podcasting even existed, no one did anything like Stern. He broke all the boundaries and paved the way for young guys like me to get into the game and to be a little fun and not necessarily shocking, but open, candid. Without Stern, this would have been taken another 20, 30 years for people to do. And podcasters owe him that respect as well. But I think it would be really cool to talk to him about watching combining both worlds together, which we've done well. And then the third, and it's not Joe Rogan. It used to be Joe Rogan. I don't know. Rogan's too big for it all now, I think. I would like another old school guy. I would love to get Larry David on my program one day from Curb Your Enthusiasm, one of the greatest talents of our day and age. And I think because we're a long form conversational type of show, it'd be cool just to talk about nothing with Larry David for a few hours.
Awesome. On a different kind of different note, why do you think podcasting got so popular or is so popular as a medium?
Yeah, much like YouTube has, it gave people the ability to do two things. One, have a voice. So in the old days, like traditional media was really your only outlet. You had to go to like terrestrial radio, you could go to like some news stations, you could, you maybe get cable TV, but there wasn't an opportunity to have a voice if you didn't get a job to other people, unless maybe you picked up the phone or and called 100 people at a time, or did it with a big bullhorn. The other thing it allowed people to do is be, I think, genuine, to be very real to their topics, whether they want to talk about some stuff going on in science or investments or technology. They could turn a voice on themselves, or when YouTube space, turn a camera around on themselves. And in the podcasting world, I think there was a lot less inhibitions. You didn't worry what you looked like. You didn't worry about like how the studio was in the background. You kind of just turn on a mic and a recording program within your computer and uploaded it. So it gave people the opportunity, those two things, to have a voice, but to be true to themselves. And I think that's what people want in this space. They don't want fake BS broadcasters putting on voices and telling you the same old stuff that everyone's telling you. They want people to be real, and it allowed people to be real. And TalkShoe.com allows people to be more real than anybody else, because if you've checked out their interface and how simple it is to upload and to personalize and have fun with it, it is awesome for young podcasters. I think it's a really neat experience.
Awesome. So besides from the plugging and the anxiety from the beginnings of the podcasting, is there any other advice you would give to podcasters?
I always say to people like, I hate people with egos. So, and I hate people who are sort of, hate's a strong word. I effing despise, they just everything in life is hard work. And, a guy like Joe Rogan doesn't make it without hard work. And, a billionaire like Elon Musk doesn't make it without hard work. And a lot of people who get early success in this space can tend to develop egos. And that's the wrong formula. The right formula is taking the high road, is not creating drama with people, it's about being grateful to your community. It's about, it's about not taking yourself too seriously either, because it can come and go pretty quickly. So go and work hard, and if you see it increase, don't let that make you be egotistical. Remember why it was you put the microphone in front of your face and recorded that voice in the first place with that message. Don't lose sight of that person. So that's the advice I give to anyone in the industry, because I see a lot of people who have had a lot of success. And to be honest, even our shows help people a lot of that success, giving their first break ever on radio, ever in media. And for me, I see people go up and down real quick, like a pump and dump type of stock, So work hard, don't stop working hard, and please do yourself a favor. When you get that success, and through hard work all of you will get some, don't let that change your mindset. Don't let that develop that cockiness. And there's a difference. You can be confident in your product. I think my show is great, but you know what? I couldn't do it without a community. So don't forget where you come from, and work really hard. There's a lot to consume out there. There's a lot to compete with. So you got to keep at it.
Awesome. And kind of wrapping up, what do your fans have to like look forward to on the Todd Shapiro Show? Anything exciting for you on the horizon or near in the near future?
Yeah, we're going to get Drake, we're going to get Larry David, and we're going to get Howard Stern. So we have a lot to look forward to. But seriously, if you check out on TalkShoe.com and search us, The Todd Shapiro Show, you'll be amazed. If you're a fan of comedy, even this week alone, like I said, Hannibal Buress, Margaret Cho, Howie Mandel, the list goes on, Maria Bamford, the list goes on and on and on. We're blessed to have the top talents in the world come on our show. And we're blessed to have real conversations with them, which makes it really, really neat for all of them. And also, you'll learn a lot about business. You'll learn a lot about pot stocks. You'll learn a lot about blockchain technology. You'll learn a lot about Bitcoin and Ethereum. You'll learn a lot about a bunch of really cool things. And anything we can do to help give back to TalkShoe.com, because they've been so great to us, is what we do. And we love that it's on SiriusXM first, and then we get to podcast it. And I just wish everyone the best of luck within it.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions we have. Thank you, Todd.
Awesome. Cheers. Good luck.
TalkShoe is the one-stop shop for podcasting. Sign up free today.